back, and instead of battling what my normal topic will be, I do want to talk about something that I think is really important. Um, and so I just want to say, well, let's talk about mental health and what does that look like? And what does it look like in this day and age with the kind of insurances that we all carry? And what the struggle is if you're really serious about getting help. And so essentially, this video today is to hopefully help guide some people who are curious, who are afraid to start the process. Because for me, starting the whole process was really difficult. And that had nothing to do with anybody else, mostly just had to do with how I was feeling and my fears because of my experiences in the past. So I want to hopefully just share my story and see if anybody else is dealing with anything similar and could hopefully get some help out of this. So, all right, here we go. I, since I became diabetic, have been told that I should really seek some mental health help, therapy. Everyone says you need to go to therapy. Well, okay, that is true. However, it doesn't mean that the first therapist you find is going to be the right person for you. The one thing that I really had to learn was that it's kind of like dating, where if you're just interested in the person who liked you back, then you might just be settling. This guy thought I was cute. He's kind of cute. He doesn't meet all my standards, but I I think I can jive with him. And you can start a really good professional therapeutic relationship that way. That's absolutely fine. Getting to know someone is hard and part of the struggle. I also learned that if you don't jive with the therapist, that you should probably try a different clinician. I like to try to give someone a couple of sessions before I see if I can really jive with them. I, a few years ago, was dealing with a really big loss. I had a really big traumatic family event that really just kind of paralyzed me. And to this day, I'm still trying to get myself back to who I used to be. And so that included some therapy. I went and I found someone, and an underlying thing about me is that I'm a big, churchgoer. I believe in Christ, and I don't want to push my beliefs on anyone. It's what's helped me survive. And so this therapist said that was really awesome, that has a lot of good nuggets in it that he really wanted me to get back to, because I had explained that through my grief, I was feeling very isolated, and so I wasn't going to church as regular or praying because I felt that I wasn't heard. And so my therapist at the time had said that he really wanted to work on me getting back into church, praying to Jesus and doing all the normal Christian stuff, seeing your family. Well, I really took issue with this because I knew how to pray, I knew how to read the Bible, I knew how to do all those things. I do. And at the moment, I didn't feel like I wanted someone to tell me that I needed to go back to church. I wanted someone to help me figure out the mess in my head. And the mess, I mean, days where I don't want to shower, days where I don't want to eat because I have no appetite, days where I don't want to get out of bed because the world feels like it's caving in on me. There's a lot of expectations and a lot of mental hoops that I jump through to get myself going. Not only that, like I explained in my first video, there's a lot that I have to do in order to keep myself functioning and that's just baseline level. That doesn't include eating and sleeping and exercising. Um, so I really, really had hope, but then lost it very quickly when, it was, we got to get you back to church. And part of my issue was, is I was going to church, but not as avidly as I do now or when I was back in the day. So that kind of felt like a cop out answer to me. And then I went and saw another clinician. And at this point, it was for couples therapy. And it's the same thing. Either you jive with the person or you don't. And unfortunately, I don't think we did. I felt, from what I think a lot of people also share, is that they're paid to listen to my problems, and that they are, of course, going to agree with what I'm saying. I am the person who's essentially paying the bill in order for my feelings to be validated, almost. Like, therapy is just a way for me to get validated. Uh, and I was really looking for help in those couple sessions. I felt that a lot of the same things that I had stated to her were issues of mine. She just kept repeating to me that oh, you just have emotional control. Oh, you just have emotional control. Oh, you just have emotional control. And so that's why you get into fights with your significant other. So we just got to teach you to control yourself. And that's fair. We all need emotional control. I need emotional control, and that I'm never going to say that I am brilliant at it, because I'm not. I think that's one of my biggest weaknesses. And so, after being told for several months that my biggest thing is that I don't know how to control my anger or my anxiety, I kind of gave up on her. Honestly, I wasn't honest to my partner about that, which I should have been, but I gave up. It was like being failed again. Then I lost my job, during the whole Corona thing, and life really started to hit. And so, that's when my partner said, you need to get some therapy. Like, I don't care how, you need to do it. And so I dug my heels in and I did it. And a lot of people will say that if you can't make changes unless you want to. And at the time, I did feel like I was forced to. However, it did work out for me. And even when I had no other option, like everybody around me was saying that I needed therapy, I started to look. And this is where I get the most frustrated at. I started to look. I'm on Access. Diabetic, no drop. So of course I'm on Access. And so that means my options are extremely limited. And so I looked, and there was this free Zoom therapy session thing that I was able to do for a couple months. And the unfortunate part was that therapist that I worked with, she was awesome. Like, we actually jived really well. She understood what I was dealing with. And not only that, like, she was very capable of saying my defenses and understanding the amount of trauma that I've been through, which I think was really important for me. That if you feel that you have a huge level of trauma, you really need to start with that. I, my whole life, have almost never shared that because I was ashamed, and a part of me still is. I just got a relationship where it was always stated that my traumatic past was a huge character flaw. And I mean, that stuff doesn't leave your head. And I think to the day I die, that's always going to be in my head, that my traumatic past, because my mom was a teenager when she had me, because I didn't know my father, because I had an abusive stepfather, because we were latchkey kids, that I'm a huge just character flaw, that I I don't know how to discern people to trust, that I am empathetic to those who have had single parent homes or anything that I just described. Anybody going through some kind of hurt, I'm a sucker for. I want to help. And that has put me in the path of some people who didn't want the best for me. I think that has been a really hard, hurtful thing for me to work through. And what's really hard is that thanks to that free clinician that I got to see for a couple months who did some really good work with me, I learned that, I just wanted to be loved and that I was upset that I wasn't. And I think that a lot of us can resonate with that we all have a certain expectation of how we think we should be loved or how we think we should be cared for, because we all have our own love languages. And I learned that I just wanted to be validated, that I didn't want to know that I was useless, that I didn't want to know that I was a huge burden because I was diabetic. And being in this weird American healthcare system, I didn't get to keep that therapist. I had to jump through several more hoops to find another person that I could see. When I was working with the agent, like there's this agency here where I live, and I'm sure that any other state has them too. The behavioral health agencies that the state will work with. Well, I did that. And what they kept telling me was that I do have trauma, very clear trauma. And I mean, I was talked to and assessed by at least 5 to 6 different professionals who had told me, yes, you have PTSD. We're going to get you into some treatment plan. Perfect. Finally, I know what is wrong with me. I have post-traumatic stress disorder. I get triggered, I relive, and I react. And that is a very hard cycle to break. So once the state-run mental health facilities stated the problem, they told me, here's a treatment plan. We're going to see if we can fit you into it. Okay, cool. It's Corona. Everyone's dealing with their traumas. Okay, cool. Yes, I can wait. That's awesome. Thank you for helping me. Well, me waiting turned into a month. And then 1 month turned into 2. 2 turned into 3. And then I said, what the heck's going on? I was told that I'd be talked to once a month. Like your regular therapy sessions. Just get conversation once a month, see how it goes. And really, it was the same thing. Yes, Jasmine, you've been traumatized. You don't know how to deal with these things. And this is how we're going to help you with emotional control. Here's some meditation. Here's some journal. You really need a journal. Well, therapist, my mother stole my journal when I was 14 and I journaled all my ugly thoughts. She stole that from me. So I'm someone who's not really inclined to journal anymore. What do you suggest? Well, let's do some more guided meditation and let's talk. I still think that maybe you should journal, but maybe destroy it after you put your thoughts down, which, okay, makes sense. However, I personally feel that my thoughts and concerns weren't really cared for, nor did they matter, because not only do I have to settle for what's available, but I kept getting told by these facilities that we understand you have some very, very big demons you got to battle. It's just we don't have the resources. So, yeah, you're how do I put this? Your situation is a tough one. However, you're not necessarily, how did they put it? You're not necessarily is high priority. That's what it was. I wasn't a high priority because I wasn't borderline personality disorder, because I wasn't screaming that I wanted to jump off a rooftop. And I mean, there were times I wanted to, but I didn't very clearly. And I mean, it got so bad that I ended up having to go to a emergency behavioral health place. And this is where it gets fun. I get there and I tell them, diabetic, I need my medication. Well, they take everything from you, your phone, everything, because they think if you're going to a behavioral health institute, they think that you are going to kill yourself. And if you're not, they think you're just under a huge amount of duress and they keep you. And it's like jail. Like, you sit there and you sit there and you sit there. And I remember they offered me a sandwich and I was starving. I was really hungry. And I had said, I'm really hungry, but I can't eat. Why can't you eat? Because I don't have my medication. And I made this clear with the nurse. Okay, well, let me go see if we can get your medication. And a lot like mental health, it was 1 hour went by, 2 hours went by, 3 went by, 4 went by, 5 went by. Next thing I know, I haven't eaten in a good 12 hours. Hey, I see that your sandwich is still there. Hi, do you remember that I asked for medication so I could eat? Well, how about you eat and we'll get your medication after? I'm sorry, are you a nurse? Yes. Okay, so you understand that would raise my blood sugar to a dangerous level. And given the fact that I'm already elevated because I'm stressed and I'm under duress. So how do I go about this? How do I go about eating and having you understand that I cannot eat until I get my medication? It's not a I'm depressed thing. It's a I don't want to get sick thing. And that's the biggest thing, is for people to understand, at least in my situation, is if I eat without my medication, I get sick. And I mean sick. It hurts. It physically hurts. And so, they've got other people there who are detoxing, people who have actually tried to commit suicide. And so I get to sit there for another 8 hours calling my family about how I'm not giving my medication. So sorry, Jasmine, but you need this. You need this. You're little. You need this. Okay, I need this. Good couple conversations with a few nurses. Well, you're not going to hurt yourself. No, I never wanted to hurt myself. Okay, so you smoke marijuana? Yeah, I used to. It was really my crutch because I can't find anybody to help me with these mental health problems that I have. And the anxiety is crippling. I can't get out of bed sometimes. Okay, well, that doesn't seem to be a big issue to me. I think you trying to cope and survive is not a bad thing. I think if you need a little bit more support, I think that's fine. So how about we get you into weekly therapy? Well, I'd love that. And this is just a nurse at the behavioral health clinic, whatever. I'd love that. However, this resource person told me that it's 2 months to get an intake. I called another place, 3 months there. Called another place. They don't know. So what do I do? Oh, so you have a appointment with agency A. Yeah, I do. Okay, we'll keep that one. Okay, but ma'am, that's 3 weeks away. Well, when did you schedule this appointment? 2 months ago. So you still need help? Yes, that's why I'm here. Well, we just don't have the resources, so I'm sorry, you're just going to have to wait. Here's a crisis line in case anything happens. Call them if you're just in a crisis, you don't know what to do. Okay. I've called the crisis line at least 6 times with many different things. They've come to my house and said that I was valid in my feelings. You know what the crisis center does? They calm me down. There are nice people who come to your home to calm you down. That's it. And every time they tell me, okay, when you're feeling depressed and you're feeling down, okay, so why don't you go on YouTube? Why don't you color? Why don't you journal? Why don't you sing a song? Okay, so I work out in the gym 2 to 3 hours because I'm pissed. I make food, I clean the house, I play Animal Crossing, I love Harry Potter, I reread it, I do all these things. Here's the issue. When I'm done distracting myself, the thing that depresses me and pulls me down into a pit of depression, it's still there. So distraction is nice. Meditation, very nice. How do I stop that rotten core pit? That doesn't make it go away. It doesn't. It makes me happy for a millisecond. And then I still have an eternity to face with this demon. How do I beat it? How do I silence it? Well, keep on with therapy. Okay. At that point, I was desperate. So I called another one. And this was psychologists and psychiatrists are different. I think psychiatrists can do the medication. I found one of those, and they got me medication. At the time, I was expecting, so, I was only allowed to take Zoloft, and it was a lot of Zoloft. Let me just tell you, I started at 10 milligrams. Nothing's happening. Okay, let's put you at 20 milligrams. Nothing's happening. All right, let's take you 25 milligrams. Nothing's happening. 30. Nothing's happening. 40. 50. All right, 70. Nothing. By the time I had my baby, I was at 150 milligram of Zoloft. Nothing happened. My depression, still there. I was still angry as hell. Like, oh my gosh, angry. And I mean, would you be if you have very big demons that you want to conquer and get rid of and be a better you? However, you don't know how to beat them, nor do you know what the resources are to silence them. So at that point, I really felt hopeless. And I want to tell you that this song and dance that I'm saying, calling, waiting, you're not important enough, calling, waiting, go to an institute. Well, keep that therapy session. Well, that therapy session's once a month. Oh, well, yeah, you might need a little more. Okay, tell the agency, I need more therapy. Okay, well, we're going to have to run you through, our critical care and make sure that you actually qualify for extra help. Wait, what? I don't qualify? What does qualify me? Do I have to tell you that I hear voices? Because I don't. However, these dark demons, my past, my trauma, I don't know how to beat it. So I want help. But because I'm not dramatic enough, because I'm not crazy, I don't get help. And what's even worse, due to my PTSD, there are times I get triggered, and there are times that I lose all sense of right and wrong. And I mean, more or less like logic. It's not like I would hurt anybody. It's just logic. And I get defensive. And my defenses are the only thing that makes sense. And if I don't get listened to, I end up yelling. If y'all are a Harry Potter fan, you ever watched movie 5 where, Harry Potter's telling Dumbledore, like, I was the snake, I was attacking him, and, Dumbledore's just ignoring him, talking around him to different people, and finally Harry goes, listen to me! Yeah, that's what happens to me. That is very clear where I get. So, after a good, I want to say, a year or so of trying to find a good person to help me, I finally found one. In the middle of one of the worst times of my life, he ended up needing to go on leave. And I'm not going to fault someone for needing to go on leave. It just put me in a really weird spot where I need to see my therapist. He's a good therapist. I need help. Actually validates, actually doesn't make me feel crazy. Like, I need to speak to my therapist. And I had to fight pretty hard to keep my therapist. And what I found out is, as depressing as it is to try to get some help, at least from my end, it's even more depressing to be a clinician working in it. Because a lot of them are very empathetic, caring human beings who want to make a difference and want to help us be better people. However, when I say they told me that they didn't have the resources for me, they also don't have the resources for their clinicians. And so I think we're in this weird, like, constant loop of just, we can't get you help because we don't have the money. And what I guess I'm not understanding is, a lot like our medical insurance. Why isn't that provided to you? Why isn't that a basic human necessity? Where we just found out that mental health has a lot to do with your overall health. Why isn't it done holistically? Why isn't it, you see one doctor decides to see you for the entirety of your life, hopefully. And they say, I'm gonna send you to this person because I think that you might have diabetes. Okay, well, this person says, I think we might have to check your eyes. The normal stuff that we all deal with now. But why isn't mental health, like, right on up there with the importance of your heart, with the importance of your sight, your everything? Like, if you really think about it, your brain is the most active muscle you have in your body. It's constantly processing things. It's constantly thinking and evaluating and assessing situations. All of us have learned patterns that we should adjust. Like, I'm not perfect. Some guy named Tom isn't perfect. No one's perfect. And so what baffles me is, why aren't we working harder to make this more accessible to everybody? Why do, when you get put into a hospital because there's no room for you in our mental health facilities, do the people who are watching you agree with you and say, why are you being punished for this? I never once said that I was suicidal when I went in about a week or so ago. I said that I'm tired of fighting for a life that feels like hell. The only good part of my life is the people I love. That's it. And I told them, I'm just tired of having to wake up every morning and realize that I could die just by not taking my medication, but forcing myself to take my medication because I need to live in this god-awful world. That was enough to put me under suicide watch for about a week. Everybody said that I wasn't suicidal. Caseworkers, psychologists, doctors, they all agreed I wasn't suicidal because I was very clearly still living and my diabetes is really well controlled. So, tell me, why do I want to keep fighting? I can tell you why I keep fighting. However, if you're in the spot of like, I need help, good, stick with that. And don't give up that drive of I need help. Because I've walked away from, I don't know, like 5 different agencies who did not have the resources or the help or the aptitude for helping me at all. I'm about to walk away from my, 6th place because the psychiatrist kept upping my medication when I kept telling her it wasn't working. Hey, I still have a lot of anger issues. Okay, well, let's keep you on lamotrigine. I started with 10 milligrams. I ended up being at 150 milligrams within in a period of 6 months. Yeah, You need 3 months to get adjusted to the medication. And then after that, they just kept upping me because I was still angry. Because I was still having PTSD issues. If you want help, great. But you gotta fight for you. Like, no one's gonna do it for you. You can't just sit on your hands. If you know that your problems are real, if you know that you're tired of your mind replaying the same thing, keep looking for help. And the biggest thing I have to say is advocacy for yourself. Because when you get into a hospital, mental health facility, they know more than you. They instantly know more than you. That's what they think. That's what they think. However, me being diabetic, I know my body, and I know how to help them do their job. They don't listen. So when it comes to someone in the mental health work field, and you have to say things 3 to 4 times, this is when you can say, I need a second opinion. That's the biggest thing that I learned. My therapist is a good person who taught me you can look for a second opinion. And I was like, wait, what? I could do that? Wait, I don't have to settle for what's been given to me or what's offered? That's mind-boggling and amazing to know. So I'm sharing these tips because mental health is not fun. It's a long battle. Once you've realized you needed help, you might be at the breaking point. So what I'm saying is that if you know you have demons, start fighting them now. Don't fight them when you're at the bitter end, when you're just, I don't know what to do. I can't keep doing this. I'm not sure I can keep on living with all of these things. Don't wait till then. If you have trauma and you know you have trauma, find someone to talk to. Start with friends, because once you find a good clinician, it's like talking to a friend. No, they're not your friends. They're really not your friends, but they listen. It is literally their job to listen and to help you. And so if you're like, oh, therapy's not for me, all they're going to do is listen to me and doodle or have me lay down. No, that's not what happens. I have my past 2 clinicians who I've actually worked really well with listened to me, repeated back what I said, and then put in their input. So if you just want to be listened to, talk to a friend. If you want actual changes, speak to a clinician. And I mean, that's because they might tell you things that you're not ready to hear. I had a session where, he was told, well, what if this was projection? And I'm like, holy crap, oh my God, you just blew my mind. And no, I wasn't ready for that. Therapy is a game changer, a really big game changer. And the biggest thing I learned is that once you can name your demons, once you know what puts you in this negative cycle, you can learn to win. So hang tough. Comment, tell me if you want me to go any deeper or share any other stories. This was my small tidbit of it. And I'd like to go into different aspects of it. So if anyone has questions, by all means, let me know. Thanks for listening.